Hey, Peter.
Yes.
Are you a fan of things that are state of the art?
You mean things that you might find at a store like the Sharper Image, perhaps?
Like you're walking through a mall in 1989.
Yeah.
And you go into the Sharper Image.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this episode is about.
Really?
Yeah, but for jazz piano.
Sounds fun.
I'm Adam Annis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music advice coming at you.
At you today.
And technological nostalgia.
It's like
Low-key, I used to love the Sharper Image.
the Sharper Image and Sky Mall.
That's
all good.
Now they're still around, but they're almost like a little bit nefarious.
Yeah.
The brand names are falling off.
You know what's not nefarious, but is state of the art, Peter?
What?
Open Studio. Specifically, Open Studio Pro.
Open Studio Pro. I'm glad you brought that up.
Me too.
Because we want to welcome everybody to not join Open Studio Pro.
No, we got a ton of new members over the holiday weekend.
We're full.
We had the gate open for just a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
Just a little bit.
And it'll open again, but please go to openstudiojazz.com/pro because we're getting a lot of questions like, how do I sign up? And I know people were busy.
Get on the wait list.
The best thing is to get on the wait list because each time, which has only been once so far that we've opened it up, the wait list folks get priority. So go to openstudiojazz.com/pro. And it's a lot of great things happening. I think, for next year too, I'm really excited about the plans that you shared, the things that we're talking about. And it's just a really cool program. Folks, we're practicing every day, 6 days of the week, live classes, the community, the progress, the joy. It's living a musical life with others is what it is.
It really is. I love, is that a new slogan?
It might be.
Living a musical life with others. It sounds
with
like
a Sharper Image of jazz piano practice.
Is it maybe a jazz piano commune? No,
it could be.
Sharper Image of jazz piano practice. You can get a sport coat with
it used to be great
AM/FM headset attached to it.
The Sharper Image of jazz piano. It used to be great. Now it just infects your computer with a browser that'll never close.
You can get gloves with a Capcom video game for football on them. So today we're talking about, Peter, one of my all-time favorite piano players. And,
I'm blushing.
Well, hang on there, buddy. No, this is a young pianist. Well, he's not that young, but he's younger than us, which is young in my book. We've talked about him before, and, we always describe him, and this is true, we're going to prove it today, as the pianist. When great jazz pianists get together and talk about who they like, who's younger, this person is usually at the top of the list. I don't know anybody who's doing anything as good or original or with such a strong artistic voice as the great Sullivan Fortner. He's got a new album out called Solo Game, and it is a masterpiece, Peter. I don't know if you've heard any of it yet, but it is unbelievable. Like sounds on the piano that every time I hear, I'm like, I didn't know this was possible. And I'm not trying to blow too much smoke, but it is next level, this new album. So I thought we could listen to a track, but don't just take our word for it. We got some in the last few months, there's been some social media posts by some greats about Sullivan. Current greats.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe
folks that are kind of representative of what the state of the art of jazz piano
100%. Everybody here that we're gonna that has talked up Sullivan is a state of the art musician in their own right. Starting with you, Peter. I know you spent some time with Sullivan when he was very young.
Yes, I do know, amongst other things, hopefully, but at a minimum, I gave him his first jazz album CD.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Like, I was like, have you ever heard of? He came to a summer camp that I was teaching out in New Orleans. When I want to say he was like between 8th and 9th grade, something around there. And
so in a way, this is you. You did all this.
Well, I don't like
I think this is I think you could take credit.
No, it's not about me. Okay. No, but I gave him I don't know why. I was like, I heard him play. I was like, okay, this dude is talented.
Yeah.
Nice kid. And so I gave him whatever I had in my car. It was either Empyrean Isles or Maiden Voyage. Which, to be your first jazz album...
Like, you went out to your car and got a CD for him?
I was like, let me
That's a good teacher there. That's a good dude.
Because I was like...
Peter's a good dude.
I was like, have you heard of Herbie Hancock? He's like, no. And so I was like, well, now you are. And then he went home and, learned all this stuff over the next couple of days. So I was like, okay. But no, Sullivan is and I just looked up because I was about to say a great kid. He was born in 1986. So would that make him pushing 40?
Yeah. He's
37,
he's
30? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, having known him for a long time, it's one of the fun things when you've been around as long as I have and been, involved with some younger folks at different times to see some of them progress. And I got to say, like, just he is one of the just most interesting, kindest, funniest people that I've been around ever since I first met him, even when he was a youngin' back then. And I don't get a chance to see him as much as I like, but every time I see him, he's just a joy to be around. Really cool dude. And I wish the best for him. And this new album, I mean, I've been following him, everything he's been doing since he was playing with Roy Hargrove, since he first went to Oberlin, since, I knew him in high school and stuff. But all of his albums and playing on with different people I thought was great. But I think he's kind of hit this great, beautiful plateau where he's getting the love and admiration publicly that he'd been getting privately from all of us pianists. We all kind of agree that it's just like a love fest. It's a Sullivan Fortner Appreciation Club, and rightfully so, a love fest.
Well, and the new album is called, again, Solo Game. It was produced by open studio artist Fred Hersch.
Yes.
Which is incredible.
Who's his real teacher.
Yeah.
Teacher to the jazz piano star.
Who has been a mentor for Sullivan, I know.
Yeah.
And we will listen to a track off of that, the opening track, here in a little bit. But go check it out for yourself. Put it on your playlist. Have a listen. Let us know what you think. But here's some accolades, Peter or Caleb, if we can put up on the screen here.
I got you.
Thank you. Some social media posts in the last few weeks and months from greats. So this is from another open studio artist, the amazing Jeffrey Keyser, another one of our favorite pianists of all time.
Yes.
And Jeffrey says, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, my dear friend and mentor and great pianist himself, James Williams, used to lovingly refer to Mulgrew Miller as the state of the art of jazz piano.
Yeah.
No truer words were spoken. That baton has now been passed to this person right here. I've been a fan of his for a long time, but Sullivan Fortner's new solo piano album is fully another level altogether. Simply some of the best piano playing I've heard in my life, past or present. That's a big endorsement.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey has listened to a lot of music, and he's got a lot of it under his hands.
And then you get Orrin Evans saying, agreed.
Yeah, Orrin Evans says agreed. James Poyser, Shedrick Mitchell chimes in. But that's not all here. Jason Moran made a post about, this is very rare for a pianist to make a post about someone else's album.
Right.
Sullivan Fortner. I've known this brother since he walked into my studio at Manhattan School of Music back in 2006 or so. And from that point on, he is my ace. This is a master at work presenting a two-volume solo recording, 2 different modes, each brilliant. I've been listening to some of these tracks for a couple of years and couldn't wait for people to hear them. The day has arrived. Go check out Sullivan Fortner Jr.'s Solo Game.
Yeah. Check out Jason Moran's social media game.
He's got a good game here.
Is he doing that as we're watching this?
He recorded on his. It's not that complicated, Peter.
Okay.
And then none other than Brad Meldau himself back in May. Got to hear the incomparable Sullivan Fortner tonight at the Bimwees in Amsterdam. I'm sure many of you know how unreal his music is. He just blows me away every time I get to hear him. Tonight with piano solo. Sullivan is deep on all levels: touch, counterpoint, utter relaxation, swing, transparency of ideas. No matter how dense the texture, he takes you through the whole emotional spectrum, unabashed joy included. It's completely rooted and completely original all at once, which I think is brilliantly said from Brad there. That's so true.
Yeah.
If you have the chance to hear them. And then finally, the one and only Benny Green. Musician's musician.
Yes. Pianist, musician's musician.
Yeah, and again, there's a comparison here. Let me read the whole thing here, because Benny's such an amazing writer. I don't want to shortchange any of this. Musicians generally seem to affect no hustle or gimmicks to their speech, persona, or appearance. They generally claim no innovations as their own, don't engage in public denouncements of other artists, and assume no self-aggrandizing platforms. They never seem to actually talk themselves up, but they openly acknowledge and extol praise of others. Generally speaking, these musicians' drives, thoughts, and energies seem to be more focused on the music, seeking a good sound, embracing, studying, absorbing, and metabolizing the language of the songs, and conscientiously minimizing their own ignorance to the past, that they might tread lightly with minimal blind reinforcement of redundant, sleepwalking cliches. Such artists often value clarity of expression over athleticism. These are the musicians who other musicians seem to admire, respect, seek to learn from, and maybe even to emulate in terms of their attitude and practice. For those who would honor a truthful path and desire not to become distracted by materialistic pursuits of fleeting, illusory relevance to corporate and social media, these artists quietly become unpretentious role models and even heroes to the rest of us.
Is Benny Green the real William Shakespeare? What the hell's
Benny
going on
Green
here?
is an incredible writer. It's the audience and the musicians who uphold the glorious truth of our Mulgrew Millers and Sullivan Fortners. That's in the
That's high
same
praise. That's
phrase.
high praise.
History
From high
illustrates that
praise.
those who love music and care about its players mustn't bank on the industry to support or really to do anything for such unassumingly brilliant people as they, while they're alive, healthy and strong. And then he says, I'm excited to be around in the same lifetime as someone such as Sullivan, while there are many fantastic musicians, remembering Mulgrew and seeing the same things that others do in this life. For what it's worth, I know with absolute certainty that we're never going to meet a person who plays more piano or is more humble than he. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And, again, this is not to praise someone who is still around here and younger than us too much here, Peter, but pretty incredible high praise from some masters of the piano. We're talking about Jeffrey Keyser, Jason Moran, Brown Meldo, and Benny Green. Doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely.
Quartet of pianists. And understandably.
Yeah.
So, really fun to have new music from Sullivan. Maybe we can have a little bit of a listen.
We were talking about the Stevie track on there. That one I have heard, and that's fun.
Let's have a listen to that.
What do you want to
I definitely want to listen to that. Okay, so here is Sullivan Fortner's solo game 2023. Let's listen to Don't You Worry About a Thing. Two people playing the piano? Hey. All of it, the counterpoint, the orchestration, the
so
touch,
fun and
the
deep at the
feel,
same time.
It's playful.
Oh, so
It's
playful.
heavy.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's like honoring the original, but just taking a lot of crazy chances and liberties. Great.
It's like this is Brad Meldow mentioned. It's rooted and fresh at the same time.
Yeah.
Somehow it's rooted in history.
Yes.
And fresh to the moment.
Yeah.
When people talk about nobody innovating or that no one's innovating on this,
I know.
Like, so beautiful. great is that? How great is that?
So great.
Can we listen to one more?
Yeah.
So this is a double CD, by the way. This is 2 discs.
And I was just thinking, like, to me, to describe not only the way he does that Stevie Wonder composition, but I've heard him do this on several other soul things for a while. I'm going to coin his style of that arrangement. Effortless deconstruction.
Effortless deconstruction.
Right. Because, I mean, he's definitely deconstructing what we would say, like, with his arrangement of the tune. But it feels effortless. It feels organic. It feels fun, playful, all these different things, you know. And I think that he really, besides just the specific, you know, elements that we could get into pianistically that he's applying,
Which there's so many.
like, but Sullivan, just in terms of like the music, and I think how it can reach the listener if you're open to it. Like he said, rooted and fresh at the same time. That was what Brad said. Like, that's the way Sullivan's personality is.
I know.
As a human. So, like, it's very...
He's an old soul, but...
He's an old soul,
there's a spark in the eye.
But his music, it exhibits and matches his personality in a way that really makes him an old soul, because normally that's, like, later in your... Like, that's sort of the destination you're moving towards. It's like, how can you match up your humanity with the humanity of your music? And he's kind of been there for a while, which is crazy.
That is the amazing part, because anybody who's been around for a minute knows that that's the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah. And, you know, like his chops, his understanding, his nuances, his control, of course, you see that progressing. But like what has been there, and I think that's the reason so many of these great artists are so excited publicly and have been privately, or maybe we're just, you know, kind of seeing it coalescing around as it should be, a release of an album like this. You're seeing that kind of common acknowledgement of that. So it's not just like, oh man, he's got the burning his chops, or he used that sharp 9 flat 13 so dopely. Like, no. It's those are just elements that he infuses.
I'm realizing I haven't actually heard this whole album. You know, I've been treating it like, I don't know if you've ever read any poetry, Peter.
Yeah.
You ever read like an amazing book of
read
poetry?
poetry, my friend.
And interesting. Yeah. We'll have to have some of that on the pod at some point.
You'll hear it.
But you know when you like find a poet that really speaks to you, and like it takes forever to get through a book of poetry because you just keep going back.
Yeah,
you want to take your time. You want to keep like reading.
Yeah.
So I want to maybe listen to a couple more. This is Neil Hefti's "Cute." What do you know about "Cute"?
I mean, I'd be afraid to play it at solo piano. Swing at that volume level, man. The touch.
Hey. What's funny is you can hear both Fred Hersch and Jason Moran.
I was just thinking that. And he studied with both of them, right?
Yeah,
totally. I mean,
but in his own,
a lot of Hersch, a lot of Moran, for sure.
The sense of melody too throughout all these tunes, he never loses it. You always know where the head is.
Man, the precision is kind of crazy. Wait, I think he... Oh, no, he didn't. I was going to say, I think he screwed up. No, he didn't.
Oh, I think he played a wrong note. That'd be funny.
I just didn't hear it right.
Peter got super critical all of a sudden. Hyper aware.
I know.
What's exciting for
The
this?
implied swing and groove on this is kind of off the charts.
It's off the charts.
Considering what he's playing.
This could be his style
Yeah.
of these sort of like short, quippy phrases I think in other hands could be corny.
Right.
But his
Absolutely.
grounding to the, like we said, to the history of the music and his sense of swing, it ties it all together in a way that
You can make something that, like, if you play, most people play this transcription of this would sound corny, and you can make it sound this hip and
the way
adventurous.
he plays it. What's exciting too about this, Peter, is that young pianists are going to hear this as they're developing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And in 10, 15 years, we're going to get to hear a crop of young pianists.
We were first. Well, along with Fred Hersch and Jason Moran. And
but we get to hear them distill this into their playing. And hear other geniuses get to do the same thing. Amazing.
So great.
I want to hear one more track here because I haven't gotten to the end of this album yet.
Okay.
But there's one here that's called, it's very short. It's called Fred Hersch Notes on Solo. I guess we could listen to both these. They're both kind of short. Fred Hersch Notes on Solo, Jason Moran Notes on Game.
Wow.
I first heard Sullivan Fortner in 2009 at a master class that I co-led with Jason Moran.
Oh, cool.
As the class was breaking up, I pulled Jason aside and asked him, was he as good as I think he was? To which Jason replied, yes, he is the real deal. In the subsequent few years, Sullivan started out as my student, then mentee, and now he is a valued colleague and friend. When I approached Sullivan about doing a solo album, he agreed to trust me to produce it, for which I was honored. He is one of the best jazz pianists in the world today, and he has all of the musical attributes I love. Creativity, technique always in the service of expression, joy and humor, fearlessness, and pianistic mastery. For the session, I asked him to make a list of as many tunes that he thought he might want to play. Once we had the recorded sound, I sat in the control room and asked him to play whatever tune I selected from the list. We recorded them in 4 sets of about 6 tunes each. The only rule was no second takes. In a couple of cases, I suggested a particular approach to his interpretation. For myself, I always feel that I play my best the less I think about it in advance. So I wanted to create that atmosphere for him.
It's brilliant.
Out of 24 performances, fully 20 could have been included on this album. Afterwards, I let him make the selections and we worked together on the sequence of the tracks. What you hold is a remarkable set of music from one of the handful of brilliant musicians of his generation. I hope you enjoy listening as much as we did in the creation of it.
That's pretty cool. Imagine like hearing Teo talk about recording with Miles or what the philosophy was behind
Power mode.
But
when I asked the pianist Sullivan Fortner,
that's Jason Moran, yeah.
Let me just say quick, well, first, for shameless plug, Fred Hersch. If you want to learn how to play like Sullivan Fortner, guaranteed, and you want to study with Fred Hersch,
100%
we have 2 courses
guaranteed.
at Open Studio. We have Thoughts and Experiments with Solo
We
Piano.
are incredibly fortunate
The Art
to
of
have
the Duo by Fred Hersch.
Fred's
Link
only,
below.
Fred Hersch's only video in piano instruction is here at Open Studio.
One of
and
our
it is
moments.
an unbelievable course that you can get here as an Open Studio member.
When you become a member, just ask for the Sullivan Fortner guarantee.
So go check out Sullivan Fortner's Notes on Game. We can listen to this Jason Moran thing once we're off air here, Peter. But and I would imagine too, like, go find a way to actually, if you're a jazz pianist and you really like this, you know, Sullivan's out here doing it, and you know, to Benny Green's writings on sort of the corporate element of this that is usually that doesn't usually go hand in hand with music that's on the cutting edge like this.
Right.
Go see if you can buy this from Sullivan directly, or from somewhere where he's going to get a little bit more scratch than even just streaming it on.
That's right.
Spotify. You can even stream it
go
on
to
Spotify,
Apple
but
Music
just
and
go
stream it is what you're saying.
No. Go buy yourself a copy and then stream it all you want, but give a little bit to that artist.
Absolutely agree. We'll have a link below for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. Well, this was super fun. Should we go out on a little bit of?
What was that? There was what was the other track we were checking? Put on whatever you want. It's all so great.
How about a little invitation?
Ooh, okay.